The Mindset Masterclass. Unlock your English learning power. Introduction. Have you ever tried to learn English? You get a new notebook, a strong feeling inside, but then that feeling fades. Maybe a grammar rule felt too hard to remember, or the words you wanted to say got mixed up in your head like a messy ball of string. It can feel like English is a big wall. You try hard to climb it, but you keep slipping back down. You spend hours studying, you practice a lot, but it feels like you're not getting much better. It makes you feel sad, and sometimes you start to doubt yourself. You might think some people are just born good at languages and you didn't get that gift. This feeling of being stuck is very common. For a long time, people have said learning English means learning many words, knowing all the verb forms, and doing many grammar exercises. These things are important. But what if the biggest problem for you isn't not knowing enough? What if it's how you think? What if the real challenge is not the English language, but the invisible walls we build in our own minds? These mental blocks, like being afraid to make mistakes, thinking you're not smart enough for languages, or giving up too easily, can stop us. They make us feel unsure and turn small problems into big failures. But here is good news. These blocks are not forever. They don't mean you can't learn. They are just ways of thinking, and you can change them, just like any habit. This is where your mindset is important. Your mindset is simply how you think about things. It's what you believe about yourself, what you can do, and the world. It's like a filter that changes how you see every challenge, every comment you get, and every step you take. In learning, if you think you will fail when learning, you probably will. But if you think about what you can do, you can grow a lot. Changing how you think gives you hope and makes you sure you can succeed. The main idea here is called a growth mindset in language learning. This means you believe you can get better at English with effort and practice. It's not something you are born with or without. It's like a plant that grows with care. Someone with a growth mindset doesn't say, "I am bad at English." They say, "English is hard for me now, but I can improve with practice." They see hard things, like understanding fast talking or a difficult sound, not as reasons to stop, but as chances to get better. Trying hard is not a sign of being weak, but is needed to become good. And mistakes? They are not proof of failing, but are helpful lessons that show you how to move forward. This way of thinking helps you stay happy and hopeful even when it's hard, because you focus on getting better, not on having a special talent. This book, The Mindset Masterclass, will help you find this power inside you. We will not just look at English words and rules. We will focus on changing how you think about learning. Together, we will learn how to break down those mental walls, feel hopeful for a long time, and become sure you can get better. Our aim is to help you change your English learning from something hard and upsetting to something good and successful. Are you ready to find out how good you can be at learning English? Let's start. 1. Understanding the basics of English learning. Learning a new language can feel like standing at the bottom of a very tall mountain. You see all the steps, all the things you need to know, the words, the grammar, how to put sentences together, and how to make sounds that people understand. It's easy to look at all of this and feel overwhelmed, to think, "This is too much for me." But what if I told you that these basics aren't meant to be scary walls, but rather stepping stones? What if the real secret to climbing that mountain isn't just knowing the steps, but believing you can take them? That's what we're going to explore here. In understanding the basics of English learning, think about when you were very young, learning to walk. Did you worry about falling? Probably not much. You just tried. You took a wobbly step, maybe you stumbled, but you got up and tried again. Learning English can be like that, if we let it. The basics are just starting points, not end goals. Many people think learning English means memorizing huge lists of words and complicated grammar rules. They see these as the goal. But imagine wanting to build a beautiful house. Would you say the goal is just to have a pile of bricks and wood? The goal is the finished house, a place to live, a place to feel safe and happy. The bricks and wood are just the materials, the first things you need to start building. In English, things like grammar rules, vocabulary lists, and pronunciation guides are your building materials. They are super important, yes, but they are not the house itself. The real goal is to communicate. It's to share your ideas, to understand others, to connect with people. The basics are simply the first tools and materials you use to start building that connection. For example, learning the word hello is a basic. Learning that we often say hello, how are you, is a basic sentence. But the real success is when you can say hello, how are you, to someone and have a friendly conversation start. The word and the sentence are the tools, the conversation is the beautiful house you've built. When we see the basics this way, as tools to help us achieve our communication goals, they feel much less like a test we have to pass and more like helpful friends guiding us. Mistakes are essential, not embarrassing. This is a big one for so many learners. The fear of making mistakes can be like a heavy blanket, smothering your desire to speak or write. You might think, what if I use the wrong word? Or what if my grammar is wrong? Or what if they laugh at me? This fear can stop you before you even begin. But here's a secret. Mistakes are not enemies. They are your best teachers. Think about it. When you make a mistake, it's like a little signal that says, hey, pay attention. This part might need a little more practice. It's free feedback. Imagine you're learning to bake a cake. If you accidentally put too much sugar in, the cake might be too sweet. That's a mistake, right? But now you know. Next time, you'll use less sugar. You learned something valuable from that mistake. You didn't give up baking, did you? You used that information to get better. In English, when you use the wrong verb tense or pick the wrong word, it's the same thing. It's a chance to learn. If you have a growth mindset, you see these mistakes not as proof that you are bad at English, but as proof that you are trying and learning. You understand that everyone who ever learned a language made thousands of mistakes. Even native speakers make mistakes sometimes. The difference is that learners with a growth mindset don't let the fear of mistakes stop them. They see them as part of the journey, as opportunities to grow stronger and more confident. So try to change how you feel about mistakes. Instead of feeling embarrassed, feel curious. Ask yourself, why was that a mistake? Or what's the right way to say that? This curiosity is a powerful engine for learning. Consistency over intensity. Many learners fall into the trap of thinking they need to study English for hours and hours every single day, or they will never learn. Then life happens. Maybe they get busy with work, or family, or they just feel tired. They miss a day, then another, and suddenly they feel like they've failed. This can lead to giving up entirely. But the truth is, small, consistent efforts are much more powerful than occasional, intense study sessions. Think of it like watering a plant. If you give a plant a huge amount of water one day and then no water for a week, it won't thrive. But if you give it a little bit of water every day, it will grow strong and healthy. Learning English is the same. It's far better to spend 15-20 minutes every day practicing English than to spend 3 hours studying once a week. What can you do in 15-20 minutes? You could read a short article or a few pages of a simple book. Listen to a short podcast episode or a song. Review 5-10 new vocabulary words. Write a few sentences about your day. Practice speaking a few new phrases out loud. These small, regular actions build momentum. They keep the English language fresh in your mind. They help your brain make new connections. And crucially, They stop you from feeling overwhelmed. When you know you only have to do a little bit today, it feels manageable. It builds confidence because you are consistently making progress, no matter how small it seems. This steady progress is the foundation of lasting learning and a strong belief in your ability to improve. The power of active listening and observation. We often think of learning basics as just reading books or doing exercises. But a huge part of understanding English, especially the natural flow of it, comes from actively listening and observing. It's like learning about a new culture. You learn so much just by watching how people interact, what they wear, and how they live. When you listen to native English speakers, whether it's in a movie, a song, a podcast, or talking to someone, try to listen actively. This means paying attention not just to the words, but to how they link words together. Do they say going to or gonna? Do they say want to or wanna? These natural shortenings are part of real English. Their tone of voice, does it sound happy, sad, excited, or serious? This tells you a lot about the meaning. The rhythm of their speech. English has a certain musicality. Listening for this can help you understand it better and even help you sound more natural when you speak. Common phrases they use. You'll start to notice patterns. For example, people often say it's nice to meet you or could you please? Observation is just as important. Watch how people structure their sentences in conversations. Notice how they ask questions. See how they use different words to express similar ideas. This isn't about memorizing. It's about absorbing the language as it's actually used. This makes learning feel less like a chore and more like discovering a fascinating system. A growth mindset encourages you to be curious about these patterns, to see them as clues rather than confusing differences. Connecting the dots. How basics fit into the bigger picture. Sometimes, when we're focused on learning a single basic grammar rule or a new vocabulary word, it can feel isolated. We might wonder, why do I need to know this? How will this help me talk to someone? This is where a growth mindset helps us see the bigger picture. Every single basic you learn is like adding a single Lego brick to a growing structure. One brick might not look like much, but when you add another and another and another, suddenly you can start to see a shape forming. You can build walls, then rooms, then a whole house. For instance, understanding how to form a simple question like "Do you like pizza?" is a basic. Once you master that, you can start asking people about their favorite foods. Then, you can learn to ask "Did you like the pizza?" to talk about the past. And then, "Will you like the pizza?" to talk about the future. Suddenly, you're not just learning one question, you're learning how to talk about preferences, past experiences, and future plans. Even learning about common verbs, like to be, to have, and to do, seems simple, but these verbs are the backbone of countless sentences. Once you understand how they work in different tenses, you unlock the ability to express a vast range of ideas. When you focus on how each basic skill connects to others and how they all work together to help you communicate, the learning becomes much more meaningful. You start to see the whole landscape of English, not just individual trees. A growth mindset fuels this by encouraging you to be patient, to trust that the effort you put into learning, each small piece will eventually lead to a much larger, more impressive creation, your ability to speak and understand English fluently. So, as we understand these basics not as rigid tests but as flexible stepping stones, we can start to see how our internal beliefs, our mindset, truly dictate our ability to build upon them. The next step is to explore how this fundamental understanding sets the stage for cultivating the hope and resilience needed to tackle more complex aspects of English. 2. Overcoming mental blocks in language learning. When we try to learn new things, like English, it can feel like hitting a wall. We try to learn words, practice talking, or understand rules, but something stops us. It's not because we aren't smart or English is too hard. The real problem is often not in our brains, but in our minds. We call these mental blocks. A mental block is like a small voice in your head that whispers doubts. It might say, "I'm too old to learn this," or "I'm not good with languages," or "others are better than me, so why try?" These voices build invisible walls that stop us. They make us feel stuck and want to quit. These blocks are not about what we can really do. They are about what we believe about ourselves and learning. If you think your English skills are fixed, like a talent you either have or don't, you will hit these walls more. This is called a fixed mindset. With a fixed mindset, you might avoid hard things because you fear failing. You might think that trying hard means you aren't naturally good at it. When someone gives you feedback, you might see it as proof you're not good enough instead of a chance to get better. This way of thinking builds walls and makes learning feel like a hard fight. Let's look at common mental blocks and where they come from. One big block is the fear of making mistakes. We've all felt this. You want to say something in English, but you worry about saying it wrong. You imagine people laughing or thinking you're silly. This fear can stop you from speaking at all. But here's a secret. Mistakes are not the enemy of learning. They are your best friends. Every mistake shows you are trying and pushing yourself. When you make a mistake, you learn something. You learn the right word, how to say it, or how to build a sentence correctly. If you never make mistakes, you're likely not trying hard enough. Thinking you must be perfect from the start is a trap. It's like wanting to ride a bike, but refusing to get on because you might fall. You will fall. But each fall teaches you to balance better. In English, each mistake teaches you to speak more clearly. Another common block is not having enough confidence. This often comes from past times. Maybe you tried learning English before and it didn't go well. Perhaps a teacher was very critical or you compared yourself to others who learned faster. These experiences can make you doubt yourself. You might think, "I'm just not a language person." This thought is a strong block because it tells you not to try. But your past doesn't have to decide your future. Your ability to learn English is not set in stone. With the right approach and belief in yourself, you can build confidence little by little. Then there's feeling overwhelmed. English has so many words, rules, and ways to say things. When you see it all at once, it feels like a huge mountain you can't climb. You might feel there's too much to learn, and this feeling can lead to analysis paralysis. You think so much about what you need to learn that you end up learning nothing. It's like standing at a big food table and being too scared to pick up a plate because you don't know where to start. The answer isn't to eat everything, but to pick one small dish and enjoy it. In learning, this means breaking things into smaller, easier parts. And close to all of these is negative self-talk. This is when you have many critical thoughts about yourself and your learning. "I'm so silly for not getting this," or "I'll never speak like someone who grew up with English," or "this is too hard for me." These thoughts steal your motivation and belief in yourself. They don't help you learn, they make it harder. They create a sad place in your mind where growing feels impossible. So, how do we start to break down these walls? The very first and maybe most important step is acknowledgement. This means being honest with yourself. It means looking inside and saying, "Okay, I'm afraid to speak," or "I'm telling myself I'm not good at this," or "I feel overwhelmed right now." It's about noticing these feelings and thoughts without blaming yourself for having them. Think of it like this. If you have a leaky faucet, you can't fix it if you pretend it's not dripping. You have to see the drip, hear it, and know there's a problem. It's the same with mental blocks. You need to see them, hear them, and know they are there. Knowing they exist isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength and understanding yourself. It's when you stop letting your mind control you and start being in charge of it. When you acknowledge a mental block, you change your focus. Instead of thinking, I can't learn English, you start thinking, I am struggling with fear of mistakes, and I need to find ways to fix it. This is a big change. It moves you from feeling hopeless to feeling hopeful. It's the difference between saying I am stuck and asking, how can I get unstuck? Let's look closer at how these inner struggles appear in our learning. Imagine someone who believes, I'm not naturally good at languages. This belief isn't just a thought. It changes how they learn. When they find a hard grammar rule, instead of seeing it as a puzzle to solve, they might think, see, this proves I'm not good at this. This thought then makes them avoid it. They might skip exercises for that grammar rule, or stop trying to understand it, telling themselves it's too hard for them. They might even avoid talking about subjects where that grammar rule is likely to be used. The belief that they lack natural talent creates a self-fulfilling story. They don't try hard enough to truly understand because they've already decided it's too much for them. Their inner voice, I'm not a natural, becomes a wall that stops them from fully trying and learning well. In the same way, think about the fear of making mistakes. This fear can show up in many ways. A learner might spend a lot of time getting ready for what they want to say, writing it down, and practicing it many times, just to feel a little safer. When it's time to speak, they might talk very slowly, stopping often, trying to make sure every word is perfect. This carefulness, while easy to understand, can make their speech sound unnatural and hesitant. It can also stop them from joining in quick conversations, where you need to think fast and be willing to change what you're saying. The fear isn't just about the mistake itself. It's about what they think others will think and the shame they feel inside. This fear can lead to wanting to be perfect, where wanting to be flawless stops any talking from happening. The main idea here is that the belief about what happens when you make a mistake, like I will be judged and feel ashamed, is stronger than the mistake itself. So, instead of just telling ourselves to try harder or be brave, what are the main ideas that help us break down these mental blocks? The main idea is changing from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Remember what we said. A growth mindset is believing that our abilities can grow through hard work, trying, and learning from mistakes. One very important idea is changing how we see effort. Instead of thinking effort means weakness or lack of talent, we learn to see it as the way to get good. When you work hard on a difficult English sentence, it's not because you're bad at English. It's because you're making stronger connections in your brain. Each moment of focused effort, each time you look up a word, each time you read something again, you are making your English skills better. This effort is what makes you move forward. Another strong idea is accepting mistakes as helpful feedback. This is where the growth mindset really stands out. When you make a mistake, instead of feeling bad about it, you ask, what can I learn from this? If you used the wrong time for a verb, you notice it and make a mental note to pay more attention to verb tenses next time. If you said a word wrong, you listen to how it should sound and practice it again. This turns a moment of feeling upset into a chance to learn. It's like a detective looking for clues. Each mistake is a clue that helps you understand English better. We also need to learn to question our negative self-talk. Instead of believing those whispers of doubt, we can question them. When the voice says, I'm not good at languages, you can answer it with, I am learning English, and every day I am getting a little bit better. I am putting in the effort, and that is how people learn. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to believe you can grow. It's about replacing unhelpful thoughts with better, more hopeful ones. Finally, breaking down hard tasks into smaller steps is key. When you have a big job, like getting ready for a talk in English, instead of thinking, I have to give a whole talk, you can break it down. First, I will think of ideas. Then I will make a plan. Then I will write the first part. Then I will practice saying the first part. Each small success builds strength and confidence, making the whole job feel less scary. This way of thinking knows that learning is a journey, not one big jump. Seeing these mental hurdles is the first important step, but just knowing they exist isn't enough. The next vital stage is to give ourselves the tools and ways of thinking to actively break them down, changing our inner world from one of fighting back to one of eager exploring and growing. This is where the real power to unlock your English learning truly begins. 3. Building positivity and confidence. Learning a new language, especially one as common and useful as English, can feel like standing at the bottom of a very tall hill. You look up, and the top seems so far away. It's easy to start thinking, can I really reach the top? Or maybe I'm just not good at this. These thoughts, the little voices inside our heads, have a big power over how we feel and how we learn. They can either help us move forward or stop us. In this part of our learning journey, we will learn how to make that inner voice a good friend, cheering us on and helping us believe in ourselves. We will focus on being positive and feeling sure of ourselves. Think about times you have tried something new. Have you ever felt a little unsure, and then a small voice inside whispered, "This is too hard," or "You are not smart enough for this"? This is a common feeling, and it's okay to feel this way. These thoughts are not always true, but they can feel very real. They can stop us from even trying, or make us quit when things get a bit difficult. This is where our growing mindset in language learning really helps. Remember, this mindset is the belief that your ability to learn English is not set in stone. It can grow with your hard work and care. And a big part of that growth comes from being positive and building strong belief in yourself. The way we talk to ourselves, our inner conversation, is one of the most powerful things we have. If we always tell ourselves we are bad at English, that we will never understand it, we start to believe it. This doesn't just make us feel sad, it actually makes learning harder. Our brains tend to look for proof of what we believe. So, if you believe you are bad at English, your brain might focus on every small mistake you make and ignore all the good progress you are actually making. It's like wearing glasses that only show you the bad things. So, how do we change this? It starts with listening to that inner voice. When you notice yourself thinking something negative about your English skills, like I can never remember these words or I sound so silly when I speak, stop for a moment. Acknowledge that thought. Then gently try to change it. Instead of I can never remember these words, try saying, this is a bit tricky, but I can try different ways to remember them, like using picture cards or practicing them in sentences. Or instead of I sound so silly, try I am still learning, and it's okay to make mistakes when I practice speaking. The more I speak, the better I will get. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about shifting your focus from what is wrong to what is possible and how you can get better. It's about being kind and encouraging to yourself, just like you would be to a friend who is learning something new. This habit of noticing and changing negative self-talk is the first, very important step in becoming more positive. It's like clearing away weeds so new, stronger plants can grow. It takes practice, and you won't be perfect at it right away. There will be days when those negative thoughts feel louder. That's okay. The goal is not to make them disappear completely, but to make them less powerful and make your positive, growing voice stronger. Now, let's talk about celebrating. In our busy lives, and especially when learning something hard, we often focus on the big, far-off goal, speaking fluently. We might think, I will be happy when I can speak English perfectly. But if we only focus on that point in the future, we can miss all the amazing progress we are making along the way. This can make us feel very unmotivated. Imagine climbing that hill. If you only look at the very top, the journey might seem too much. But if you notice and appreciate reaching a small flat spot, or seeing a beautiful view from a certain point, it gives you energy to keep going. We need to do the same with our English learning. We need to celebrate the small wins. What is a small win? It could be learning 5 new words today and actually using one of them in a sentence. It could be understanding a short conversation on TV without needing the words shown on the screen. It could be successfully asking for your coffee in English. It could be writing a short email that people understand. These might seem small, but they are important steps forward. A wonderful way to do this is to keep a success journal or a progress diary. This is not a place to write about your problems. It's a special place to write down your victories, no matter how small they seem. At the end of each day, or once a week, take a few minutes to write down at least one thing you achieved in your English learning. Maybe you finally understood how to use the past tense correctly in a few sentences. Write it down. Maybe you had a short, simple chat with someone who speaks English. Write it down. This journal becomes a real record of your progress, a collection of proof that you are learning and getting better. When you feel down, you can look back at this journal and it will remind you of how far you have come. This act of noticing and celebrating your achievements naturally builds good feelings and strengthens your belief in your ability to learn. One of the biggest problems for many English learners is the fear of making mistakes. We worry about saying the wrong thing, sounding foolish, or not being understood. This fear can be so strong that it stops us from speaking at all, or makes us afraid to try new things. But here's a secret. Mistakes are not the enemy of learning. They are actually very important for it. Think about how children learn. They try things, they make mistakes, they fall down, and they get back up. They don't worry about being perfect. They learn by doing and by figuring out what went wrong. A growing mindset sees mistakes not as signs of failure, but as valuable chances to learn. Every mistake is a piece of feedback. It tells you something about what you don't yet understand or what you need to practice more. Instead of getting upset when you make a mistake, try to see it as a clue. For example, if you used the wrong verb tense in a sentence, instead of thinking I'm so bad at grammar, ask yourself, why did I choose that tense? What is the correct tense here and why? Looking up the rule or asking a teacher or a language partner can help you understand the why behind the mistake. This process of looking closely at your errors helps you learn more deeply and avoid making the same mistake again. It turns a moment of possible frustration into a moment of learning and growth. Let me tell you about Maria. Maria had always loved stories, but she found writing essays in English very difficult. Every time she had to write, her stomach would feel tight. She would stare at the blank page, thinking, my ideas are not good enough and my English is too simple. I will never be able to write a good essay. She would often wait to start, which only made the pressure worse. One day, her teacher encouraged her to try a different way. Instead of trying to write a perfect essay from the start, she suggested Maria just write down her ideas, even if they were in short sentences or bullet points, and not worry about grammar or words at first. Then she encouraged Maria to write a first try, knowing it would be messy. After that, the real work began, going back and looking at what could be made better. Maria started by writing down her main idea. Then she wrote a few sentences to explain it. She didn't worry about fancy words or perfect sentences. After she had a rough draft, she read it again, and this is where the magic happened. She noticed she used the word good many times. She looked up other words that mean similar things and found excellent, effective, and valuable. She saw she had written a few sentences that were too long and hard to understand. She broke them down into shorter, clearer sentences. She also noticed she had used a past tense verb when she meant present tense. She corrected it and made a note to practice that specific verb more. She didn't see these corrections as signs of failure, but as steps to make her writing stronger. She was actively learning from her mistakes. Over time, by writing, reviewing, and correcting, Maria's essays became clearer, had more detail, and she felt much more confident. She learned that the fear of mistakes was much more limiting than the mistakes themselves. Another powerful way to build positivity and confidence is through positive statements and imagining success. Positive statements are good things you say to yourself often. They are meant to change your mind and make you believe good things. When you are learning English, positive statements can be very helpful. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at speaking," you could use a positive statement like, "I am becoming a more confident English speaker every day." Or, "I enjoy practicing my English." Or, "I can understand and say what I mean clearly in English." The key to good positive statements is to say them with feeling and belief. Say them out loud, look in the mirror, write them down, and say them every day, especially in the morning. Or before you start studying. It might feel a little strange at first, like you were trying to convince yourself of something that isn't true. But over time, as you keep saying these good statements, your mind starts to accept them as truth. They help to fight those negative self-talk patterns we talked about earlier. Imagining success is another strong method. It means creating a clear picture in your mind of yourself doing well. Imagine yourself confidently talking in English, understanding everything being said, and sharing your thoughts clearly and easily. See yourself smiling, feeling proud, and enjoying the conversation. The more detailed and real you can make this mental picture, the more effective it will be. You can imagine yourself doing very well on an English test, giving a talk, or simply chatting with new friends. This mental practice prepares your mind for success and builds a strong feeling of looking forward to it and feeling sure of yourself. It helps you feel what success will feel like, making it more likely to happen. Finally, let's think about the people and the place around us. Learning doesn't happen by itself. The people we talk to and the atmosphere we create for ourselves can have a big effect on our confidence and positivity. If you are around people who always criticize or put down your efforts, it is much harder to stay motivated and believe in yourself. On the other hand, a supportive environment can make you feel much better. Think about finding or creating a supportive learning place. This could mean joining an English-speaking group, finding a study friend who is also learning, or connecting with online groups of English learners. When you share your learning journey with others who understand the difficulties, you can give each other encouragement, share tips, and celebrate successes together. Knowing you are not alone can make a big difference. Even if you can't find a group, try to be around positive influences. Listen to English podcasts that are inspiring, watch videos of people talking about their language learning journeys, or read books like this one that offer encouragement and helpful advice. When you actively look for and engage with positivity, it naturally starts to affect your own mindset. So, to sum up, building positivity and confidence is an active process. It involves becoming aware of how you talk to yourself and learning to change negative thoughts into encouraging ones. It means making a clear effort to notice and celebrate every small success, no matter how small it may seem. It requires accepting mistakes as important steps on the path to learning, rather than as reasons to give up. And it greatly benefits from using positive statements and imagining success, as well as by creating a supportive learning environment. How can someone actively find their personal confidence blockers in learning English, and what are the most effective first steps? To begin removing them? Finding these blockers is the first, very important step. It's like a detective looking for clues. Start by simply paying attention to your thoughts and feelings when you face a challenge in English. When does that tight feeling in your stomach appear? What specific situations make you feel most unsure? Is it speaking in front of others? Understanding fast conversations? Writing an email? Or perhaps it's a specific grammar rule that always trips you up. Keep a small notebook or use a note-taking app on your phone to jot down these moments. Don't judge yourself, just observe. You might notice a pattern. For example, you might realize that every time you have to speak without thinking first, you freeze. 4. Embracing a growth mindset for success. Learning English can feel like climbing a tall hill. You might see how far you have to climb and think, this is too hard for me. Many people feel this way, but what if the hard part isn't the hill itself, but how you look at it? What if the best way to learn English isn't just more words or rules, but a simple change in your thinking? This is where the idea of a growth mindset comes in. Think of it as a special way to see what you can do. If you think your English skills are set, like your hair color, you have a fixed mindset. This means you might believe some people are just born good at languages, and if you aren't, you can't do much. You might avoid hard things because you don't want to look silly. When you make a mistake, it feels like proof you're not good enough. This can make you feel sad. But a growth mindset is different. It's believing that you can get better at English with hard work and by learning from everything, even mistakes. It means challenges are not walls, but steps that help you climb higher. Trying hard shows you are getting stronger. And feedback, even if it's criticism, helps you get better. This way of thinking helps you stay happy and sure of yourself, even when things are tough. It's about seeing how much you are improving and how much better you can get, not about having a special talent. Let's meet Sarah. Sarah always thought she was bad at languages. She found French hard in school. When she started learning English for her job, those old feelings came back. She would try to speak, but her words got mixed up, and she felt shy. If she didn't understand something in a movie, she'd think, see? I'm just not good at this. Her mindset was fixed. She saw each mistake as proof she wasn't good enough, so she was afraid to speak. She studied grammar rules, hoping they would magically make her fluent, but speaking felt impossible. One day, Sarah learned about the growth mindset. She read that changing her thoughts could change her learning. It sounded strange, but she was willing to try anything. Instead of saying, I can't understand this, she started adding one word, yet. So, I can't understand this grammar rule, became I can't understand this grammar rule. This little word, yet, gave her hope. It didn't make the rule easy, but it changed how she felt. It turned a feeling of failure into a feeling of temporary difficulty. It meant she could understand it later. This small change made a big difference. When she made a mistake speaking, instead of thinking, I'm bad at English, she'd think, that was a mistake, but I can learn from it. She began to see mistakes not as proof of being bad, but as helpful information. Ah, she'd think, I used the wrong time word there. I'll remember that next time. This new way of thinking made her braver. She started looking for chances to practice, even when it felt a little scary. She joined a group online where people practiced English together. At first, she was quiet, afraid of making mistakes. But with her new yet mindset, she started to speak more. She knew she wouldn't be perfect, but she also knew she was learning. When someone corrected her, she didn't feel ashamed. She felt thankful for the help. She realized that these hard moments, when she felt a bit awkward or confused, were the time she was growing the most. The power of yet is a simple but very useful tool for a growth mindset. It's like a small key that opens a big door. When you think, I'm not good at saying words right, try adding yet. Now, it's not a permanent problem. It's something you are learning. I'm not good at saying words right. This simple addition changes how you see things, from being limited to having possibilities. It shows that you are where you are now, but you will get better. It helps you see that every English word you struggle with, every sentence that doesn't come out right, is just a small pause on your journey, not the end. How does what you believe about your English skills, whether fixed or growth-oriented, affect how much you practice and how you react to mistakes? If you think your ability is fixed, mistakes might make you feel down, and you might avoid situations where you could make them. This means you practice less, and if you practice less, you learn less. It's like a cycle. Feeling bad leads to less effort, which leads to less improvement, which makes you feel even more like you're not good enough. On the other hand, if you believe your ability can grow, mistakes become chances to learn. You're more likely to keep trying, ask questions, and talk to people, even if it's hard. This more practice and talking naturally leads to more improvement. So, your mindset doesn't just change how you feel, it changes what you do and, therefore, how much you improve. Think about common problems when learning English. Maybe you forget new words right after you learn them. With a fixed mindset, you might think, I have a bad memory for words. But with a growth mindset, you can think differently. You can say, I can train my memory for words. Instead of giving up on learning words, you can find new ways to remember them, like using cards with words on them, drawing pictures, or telling stories. Or maybe you can't understand people who speak too fast. A fixed mindset might make you think, I'll never understand them. A growth mindset, however, helps you see this as something you can work to overcome. You might decide to listen to more podcasts at a slower speed, practice writing down what you hear in short audio clips, or even ask people to say things again. The main thing is that a growth mindset helps you find answers, while a fixed mindset often makes you give up. This ability to get back up after problems is called being strong, and a growth mindset is its best friend. When you're learning English, there will be days when you feel like you're not getting better. You might feel stuck, or you might be in a conversation and can't find the right words. Someone with a fixed mindset might feel defeated and think, this is too hard, I should just stop. But someone with a growth mindset sees this as a small problem. They know that learning a language takes time, like a long race, not a short sprint. They might feel sad for a moment, but then they'll ask themselves, what can I learn from this? What can I try differently next time? They know that being persistent isn't about doing the same thing again and again and expecting something different. It's about trying different ways, staying curious, and keeping your long-term goal in mind. This persistence is very important because learning English is a journey that takes time. There are no quick ways to become very good. You won't be fluent in one night, and that's okay. The good thing about the growth mindset is that it helps you enjoy the process. You start to celebrate small wins, understanding a new saying, using a tricky verb correctly, or having a short, good conversation. These small wins build strength and confidence. They show you that your effort is working, and they make the bigger goals seem possible. So, when you face a hard grammar rule, or a way of saying words that you can't get right, try adding that simple, powerful word, yet. Remember that your ability to learn English isn't something you either have or don't have. It's a skill you are building every day with every effort, every mistake, and every lesson learned. This belief is the key to unlocking your true power to learn English. By understanding and using this growth mindset, you're not just changing how you think about learning English, you're changing how you feel about it. This change creates a strong inner drive to improve, preparing us to look at the specific tools and methods that will help you on this journey in the next part. Conclusion: you have come to the end of this book. This is a great thing. We have learned about English, but more importantly, we have learned about your mind, which is like a strong engine for learning. Sometimes, learning English can feel like a very tall wall. You might feel sad when you don't understand. You might be scared to make mistakes. You might hear a small voice inside you saying you are not good enough. But this book has shown you that the best way to learn English is not just from books, but from how you think. You can change your thoughts to get past these problems. You can feel strong hope and have strong belief in yourself. This makes learning fun, not hard. The most important idea is having a growth mindset for learning English. This means you believe that you can get better at English. Your skills are not set in stone. You can make them stronger with practice, hard work, and learning from everything. Mistakes are like steps that help you move forward, not things that stop you. Hard things are chances to become stronger. When you have a growth mindset, a mistake in talking is not a sign that you failed. It is a sign of what you can try to do better. A word you say wrong is a chance to say it better next time. Every mistake is a lesson that helps you get better. If you see a hard sentence or a new saying, a growth mindset helps you see it as a puzzle. Solve with practice. You will want to break it down, ask for help, and feel happy when you understand a little bit. This mindset also shows that trying often is very important. It's not about being born smart. It's about showing up, using your time, practicing, and knowing that each small step helps you move forward. When you think this way, you stop worrying about not being good enough. Instead, you get excited about getting better. This makes you want to learn more. It helps you when things are hard. It helps you become good at English for a long time. As you keep using the ideas of a growth mindset, you will feel a big change. You will believe more that you can learn and get better. This is not just being happy for no reason. It is a strong belief from seeing yourself get better. Every hard thing you do, every new skill you learn, shows you can do it. Hope will be with you on this journey. When things go wrong, your growth mindset will help you keep hoping. You will see these times as a small stop, not the end. You will keep a happy feeling. You will think about yourself in the future, speaking English well and with confidence. You will know that with practice, this can happen. Confidence and hope work together. They make each other stronger. Your growing belief in yourself makes you hopeful for the future. Your strong hope helps you try new things, which makes you even more confident. This book has given you the tools and ideas to have a growth mindset for learning English. Now, the real magic happens when you use these ideas every day. Pay attention to your thoughts when you see a hard word or a confusing sentence. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Be happy for every small win. This could be understanding a new phrase, ordering coffee well, or just trying to talk. Keep setting easy goals and know that you are making progress. Learning English is like a long race, not a short run. Enjoy the process. Be kind to yourself. Believe that you can grow. The biggest progress often comes from trying often and with thought, believing in yourself. You are not just learning a language. You are building a strong, hopeful, and confident learner inside you. You can get past any problem and reach your goal of speaking English fluently. Your English learning is now powered by a way of thinking that sees what's possible, that is strong, and that believes in itself. You can reach your full potential. Go forward, try new things, be happy for your growth, and keep learning to speak English, one good thought at a time. The world of English is now yours to explore and master. We are very happy you tried and are excited to see how much you will improve. Your strong English journey starts now.